man. I'll tell you what, that dang old internet, man. You just go on there and point and click, get in there and talk about www. Call me, you got that.
For some reason or another, you sounded a little taller on radio.
Well, for my money, he's got all the facial characteristics of a criminal.
Now, here's your host, that gravy-sopping, crappie-flopping, stump-jumping, Bible-thumping, gun-toting, mater-growing son of a gun, the Backwoods Baptist himself, Pastor Harold Smith.
Welcome to the Backwoods Baptist Podcast American Tour, West Coast. I'm out here in California at a suburb in the Sacramento Valley known as Granite Bay, in the office of Brandon White at Landmark Missionary Baptist Church. We've just finished up, what do you call this?
Bible conference.
Bible conference. Yep. So you just had a number of preachers come in from all across the country, and they all take turns preaching, and then we put them all on airplanes and flew them all back.
Yep.
And then you and I kind of hung out for a few days. And I'll just go ahead and tell you, I'm sniffing and snotting and sneezing, and
it's California allergies. You're allergic to California.
This lady came up to me and she said, "Welcome to the center of the California allergies." And I said, "Really?" And she said, "Oh, Sacramento's awful." And I'm like, golly, I've just kind of steadily gotten worse ever since I've got here. But anyways, we're going to do a podcast anyways, and let's just talk about some of the challenges of, you've pastored a church. How long were you in Smithville, Oklahoma, an Indian mission?
I was in Smithville a total of 16 years, and I pastored the church for 11.
Yeah. Started out as kind of associate pastor, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. When you've been there that long, pretty much the church is... everything you wanted to accomplish, you've accomplished. It pretty much goes the way you envisioned it.
Yes, sir.
I mean, if you're actively engaged in doing what you've been called to do, by 10 or 11 years, you fought most of the battles.
Yeah.
How hard is it to come out here and start over at square one without giving specifics?
Well, you said it. It's like starting over.
Yeah.
It's like starting over. It's having to learn the people over. It's finding out where the church is. I think one of the major differences is at Indian Mission, we were really small when we came there, so we kind of grew organically together. And I was able to learn the people as we grew, and they learned me, and they learned to trust me. You're coming in here. This church has been here since 1917. And so we celebrated 108 years about 2 months ago. It was started July 1st in 1917. And so you've got a very complex history, a lot of changes over the years, and but a lot of the people have stayed the same. A lot of families in the church, so I'm having to learn the families, learning the church. They're learning me. Who's this guy? Right. Is he like our last pastor?
I'll tell you one thing. They've learned that you can cook brisket.
Yeah. Yeah, they have enjoyed the cooking aspect. They didn't know that when they got me. I didn't let that out of the bag. And then after we were here a couple of months, we have Spanish ministry, and once a month we'll have a Spanish preacher come in and preach on Friday night and Saturday morning. And so I was helping with one of the meals for that, and I had smoked some pulled pork. And they're like, "Oh, man, that's phenomenal." Well, then we had Vacation Bible School, and here sometimes it's easier to cater than to cook,
right?
But it's obviously extremely expensive,
right?
And I'm like, hey, let's not waste this money on catering for barbecue. I mean, I've done that for years. We have a business that part of it's based on making barbecue. So I smoked briskets, pulled pork, pork loin, and they fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And they're like, we never had a pastor that cooked for us.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if you don't like my preaching, at least you'll keep me around for my food.
I tell everybody, if you'll cook for your people, they'll keep you.
Yeah.
They will keep you.
So they've learned that about me. There's no doubt. And they like that. They've been very encouraging, brother. The folk here, they've just, and I don't think it's just tongue in cheek. I don't think they're just saying it to say it. I think they've really had a sense of revival. They felt revived since I've been here. They've enjoyed the preaching. We are getting to know each other. And as with any church anywhere, there's battles, but the Lord's grace is sufficient, and He's helping us. And I think through the battles, that's really where people really knit together.
Yeah,
you know who's with you and who's with the Lord, and then who's not. And we're starting to see that. But, yeah, coming into the Bible conference, the church was praying. We had cottage prayer meetings. I was encouraged by that.
Yeah.
And they said they had more people at these cottage prayer meetings than they'd had in years because they've had them in the past, but nobody'd show up. They said the last one they had 2 people come.
Really?
To the person's house hosting it, 2 people. So, you know, they were really, and one of them was the pastor.
Yeah.
So, and so they were really encouraged. We had like 25 in attendance, I think, the first one, and then the next one we had about the same, maybe actually a couple more. So they were praying. We had a big altar of prayer before the conference. They had not done that. I had one of the ladies tell me we hadn't done that in 10 years. And she just said how special it was for us to get an altar together and pray together. Yeah. And so that was encouraging to hear these things, because you do these things and you're wondering, how will this be received?
Right.
You know, are they?
And I wonder, and especially since I've been on the American tour, you wonder how you're going to be received in South Georgia or in northern Michigan or in the West Coast, you know, the Sacramento Valley and Granite Bay. But also what you wonder, as a pastor like yourself, there's a cultural gap there. Yeah. It's not that's all I would say is it's cultural. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's, we've always done it this way. And doing it the new way is not the wrong way. Doing it the old way wasn't necessarily wrong. Right. There's just a different way of doing things. But one thing I've picked up on at this church here is your people are workers. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are working. They're in that kitchen. They're doing things. They're cleaning. Right. I've seen your people cleaning in between services. I've seen them, you know, straightening up things. I've seen them putting things away. I mean, they just work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, it's one thing I was thinking about this in light of what you said about traveling the country, and there's a universal principle that I think transcends space and time, and that is that the gospel fits any culture. Yeah. You don't have to change it. It fits into any and every culture. Yep. And I think that's, like you said, we wonder how we're going to be received, but if it's God's people and you preach the gospel, they're going to love you for it. Yeah, that's right. And I think that's one reason they've loved me. They loved the conference. They loved the preachers. They really loved you. Yeah. And, I mean, you had multiple people come to you and say, hey, you're going to come back, ain't you? Hey, you're going to be, and you're like, well, yeah, I'll love to come back, but you got to ask your pastor, you know, talk to your pastor. Yeah, every time someone says that, you say, well, this is a prime opportunity to say the pastor's responsibility is the platform. Right. If he gets another harebrained idea and has me back, we'll do it again. But, yeah, it was.
Well, we went fishing with one of the deacons, Brother Phil.
Man, that was a blast.
Yeah, and he took us to some of the good little spots on the lake where he knows there's bass, and we were able to catch some fish. Yeah. He so enjoyed you being here and your messages. He told you on that last cast, he said, if you don't catch nothing now, you'll have to come back to California and preach for us again.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think he put you in a spot where he knew there wasn't a bass.
Yeah, I was out in the back of the boat in the middle of the lake. There was nothing there.
So that just tells you how much they appreciate it. But like Brother Phil told me the other day, just one-on-one, and I don't think he'd mind me sharing this, nothing crazy, but he pulled up. I was out in the yard doing something, and I didn't even know it, but he took a picture of me, and he sent it to his family group chat, and he's like, how good is it to have a pastor wearing camouflage in the front yard of the parsonage? I had a camouflage shirt on. And, of course, he's fisherman and a big duck hunter. His son's a big big game hunter. And it's funny because that culture is kind of what I came from in Oklahoma. Right. Not the same, but very similar. And, you know, it's just funny because, again, it doesn't matter if you're wearing a suit and tie or you got a camouflage shirt on in the front yard. As long as you're a gospel preacher and you love God's people and you're feeding the sheep, man,
just
that's
take
what matters.
Fishing, for example. Mm-hmm. We did drop shots is what we did. Yep. Pretty much the same thing we do back home. Slightly different hook. Slightly different, worm that we used.
Yep.
But pretty much just a standard old drop shot, and it's just church should be the same way. Same old thing, just slightly different. And you're not changing anything major. You're just altering it to meet the to meet the culture and the people and what they're used to. And another thing that, we were talking about the friendliness of this church. I don't think there was anybody who walked past me without shaking my hand.
Yes, sir.
Or patting me on the back, or handing me a bottle of water, or telling me I need to come cut in line and get in here and get something to eat. I mean, it was just, you think about going into a highly populated area. You think about, okay, we're around some major cities. People aren't going to be as friendly. That has not been the case for me in California.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a huge shock for me because of what we envision California to be. Because we think California, we're thinking LA, or we're thinking San Francisco Bay, or even downtown Sacramento.
Yeah.
But you get away. And of course, this is a unique part. Northern California is known for being more conservative. We're in Placerville, or Placer County rather.
There's Trump signs on barns and
Exactly. But still, it is a different culture even in that, but it is a friendly culture.
Yeah.
And it's one that a person can easily grow accustomed to. And
I couldn't get over how many people are here.
Yeah, a lot of people. Well, Sacramento, we saw a sign yesterday, is 500,000 people. That's in the city limits, not metropolitan area.
But the metropolitan area is where it's at because it's sprawling out.
Exactly.
What did we say, 2.3 million or 2.8 or something?
It's up there. It's in 2 to 3 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, Granite Bay and Roseville alone, I think they're sitting around 400,000.
Wow.
And then that's just one area with a lot of others around it and all around Sac.
For people in the South that can't envision this, imagine having 400,000 people within a 30-minute drive of your church.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I mean,
Mission field.
Some of the places I've preached, 5,000 people, maybe, within a 30-minute drive of the church.
Right.
But when you talk about 100 times that, how much more, how much more is it available, or how much more can you, and I was talking to Bill Brown, and he was talking about retiring and wanting someone to come out and take over the church that he's pastoring. And I said, well, the problem I have is nobody wants to go to California. And he said, look at how many people are here.
Right.
He said they deserve a good preacher and they deserve a good church. And he's right.
That's true, yeah.
He's right. And so it was not what I expected.
Yep.
The church was not what I expected. The community was not what I expected. I mean, it was, and I mean, fishing and duck hunting. I mean, I talked as much hunting here,
right,
more so than I did in some of the other churches I went to. And I'm in an area where they say that, oh, you don't hunt out there. That's pretty much what we talked about.
Right.
Hunting and fishing. Just about every time we gathered around a table.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't Bill tell you something about you can have guns here and shoot them too or something?
Yeah. He said, Brother Harold, you can bring your guns out here. You can even shoot them too.
Yeah, that's funny.
But no, it's just the stereotypical, like what I suspected was not what I saw when I got here.
Right. Well, and I think about in other sheep have I that are not of this fold. And that's true in every state and every city. But you get to California, it's one of the most populated states in the country.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of solid works out there. And they are out there, but they're just, when comparison, the ratio of the population to those pastors and churches, it's a big deficit right now. We need more. But
we went to Old Town Sacramento yesterday.
Yep.
They call it Old Sac.
Right.
And it's a whole lot like downtown Van Buren, just 4 city blocks wide instead of 1.
Right.
But as I walked around down there, I just had a lot of ideas. I had a lot of things that I was looking at. in their historic downtown district that I could implement at the Backwoods Book Company. And I'm always wanting to make it better. And people say, well, it's just a unique thing, what you have. That's the only place in America you could do that. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
I think anywhere there's an old town where people are on foot, walking around, going in and out of shops, I think you could have a free Christian bookstore and be effective with it. So that's what I want to do. One of the things I was like, I saw was they had the shooting gallery,
Yep.
and with the little laser tag guns, and you shoot the squirrel and his tail spins and all that. I'm a sucker for that kind of junk. And see, we've got an arcade in Van Buren. They had an arcade, a pinball, and then an arcade. We got a arcade, but we don't have a shooting gallery.
Right.
So if I ever expand the Backwoods Book Company, I'm going to have to put a shooting gallery in the front, and that'll be good times right there.
That'd be pretty neat. You could have one section that's animals, and then one section that's heretics. Shoot the heretic. No, we're not Protestants, are we?
Well, I was like, how heretical do we want to get with who we're going to shoot? But no, it's been encouraging to me to be here, really, and just in the health of your church, the friendliness of the people, and even the friendliness of the people outside of here.
Sure.
Not just your church. It's just not what you think of when you think. I've been in big cities. I've been to Philadelphia. I've been to Chicago. I've been to, you name it. I've been there. I
had a guy tell me when I first got here about how nice everybody had been. And he said this to me, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not. It kind of has at least shown forth to be true thus far. He said, people in the South are polite, but they're not kind. People in California are kind, but they're not polite.
That would make sense.
And I'm like, yeah, because, in California, people can kind of be a little upfront, but they're kind people.
Yeah.
In the South, everybody bless his heart, but in their heart and in their mind.
Yeah, right. They say what's right and think what's wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's not obviously across the board, but I've found that to be true here. And it's been one thing too. It's been good for the church because they've been able to see the example. Not that I'm a golden standard, but coming here, you're just getting to know people, and obviously I don't talk like people here talk. I say y'all, and now that it's been pointed out to me, I say it a lot more than I realized I say it.
Yeah.
And I sometimes I even apologize. They're like, no, that's charming. Don't apologize for that. And
they love Southern speakers, man.
They do. But I'll go in somewhere and they're like, you're not from around here, are you? So then it gives me an opportunity to tell them, and then I'll invite them to church.
Yeah.
And so I'm sharing it with the church. Hey, pray for this person. I invited them. They're like, man, we're just so amazed that you're so bold. And I'm like, it's not being bold. It's just living out your faith. Yeah. Being kind to people. And when the Lord opens a door, don't shove the door open, but when he opens the door, take advantage of it.
That's right. We talked to the lady at the hospital.
Yep.
When we went in there and struck up a conversation.
People just don't. It's amazing, brother, how just being friendly and having a conversation will open so many doors. And we live in a day and age where people aren't, right? Yeah. Because we got earbuds in our ears, and this is across the nation. Yep. We're busy on our phone. We got our own agenda. We don't have time to just take 5 minutes and talk to a person. Yeah. And that might be the very thing, the difference maker of what makes their day. And then it even opens a door. And like with that lady, you got to talk to her a little bit about the Lord. It was pretty funny. They did everything but strip search you to get you into that hospital to visit Clint Keith's wife. But
she said, my stars, where are you from? I said, I'm from Arkansas. I'm here with a guy from North Carolina, and we're here to see a guy in Kentucky. And she was just looking at me, and her eyes were just like, what? And I said, why are we doing all this? And she goes, well, we got to protect everybody. And I said, we can carry a gun in the hospital where we're at. All they got's a sign that says, don't do it. Everybody does it. Right. And she couldn't believe that. She said, well, in the South, y'all use them for protection, self-defense. Said out here they use them for meanness. And I said, well, y'all are forcing me to fight people with my hands. I said, so I'm going to have to fight them with just my bare fist because you stripped me of all my weapons. And she goes, oh, and they will stab you too. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, thanks a lot for that, you know. And we were talking, and I said, it sounds like to me you don't have a gun problem. You got a bad people problem. And she goes, yeah, that's right. And I said, the solution to that is more churches.
Mm-hmm. And you asked her if she'd ever heard about Samson. She'd never heard about it.
Yeah. She had never heard of Samson. I said, well, Samson, he got surrounded by a group, and I said, he just picked up the jawbone of a donkey and killed 1,000 of them. And she had never heard that story.
No, but she did say she wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley.
That's right.
So I don't think anybody would. So, yeah, there's a lot of difference in the culture, but the people, if you'll just talk to them, they'll talk back, and there's a lot of friendliness. And so it offers an open door for the gospel, and that's what it's all about anyway. So,
yeah.
But, yeah.
And that's the key. I tell people all the time, when I'm pushing them into evangelism, I'm not telling them to go out on the street corner and go, oh, sinner, you old sinner, you know, and start calling them out. Have a conversation about the things of God.
Yep.
In this day and age, we've got to start with, is there a God? Can we know him? I love Ray Comfort. And Ray Comfort, you know, does law and gospel. If you ever stolen anything, you ever looked at a woman with lust, you know, what does that make you? And I understand what he's doing, but most of the people he's doing that with all look at him and go, well, yeah, if your God's real.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to believe in God before you're going to be able to admit that there's a law that you've broken.
Right.
And so it starts with creation, like you said. And I think, too, it also, with the creation presentation, you have to have a rapport with people.
Yeah.
And, I don't get me wrong, I don't take anything away from the power of God and the power of the gospel. Sure. And, has there been people that's heard people preaching and even street preaching, even in recent times, get saved? Absolutely. But that's not the only way. And, you know, there's opportunities out there. I'll tell you something I've really had on my heart, and I thought about it, and I've seen another church that does this. I've thought about just getting a tent made, or buying a tent, but getting the canvas made and having it printed on their prayer tent. And go up and some of these festivals or different places, and set it up, have some water. I've even thought about getting a big ice cooler thing, like igloo, and putting iced coffee in it.
Oh, yeah.
And water, and taking our tracts and just sitting there and just there's an open door. Right. If you want to approach me and tell me, hey, this is what I got going on, would you pray for us? A prayer tent. And I've seen that, and that's one way where you can engage people one-on-one without it just being monologue, but dialogue, where they're able to talk to you. But then again, a lot of it's just living it out in front of them. And like, I've got neighbors here we've invited to church. We've given them the gospel. Now I'm giving them my jerky.
Yep.
Now I'm trying to build a rapport. Now I'm trying to get to know them. And I'm just waiting, because I believe God's going to allow something in their life to happen that's going to make them think, I need to go talk to the preacher.
Yeah. Brandon would know about this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Instead of shoving something down their throat and pushing them away from Christ. Like I heard a guy the other day talking to a JW, and told him just to tear his Bible up and go burn the thing. I mean, Paul told us the gospel is an offense. We don't have to add offense to the gospel.
Yeah.
Let's just tell them about Christ. Let's love them and try to minister to them however we can.
Yeah.
And wait for God to open those doors and give the increase. So,
well, I had a weird experience yesterday in Old Sac, remember? We had a street lady that just wouldn't leave us alone,
true.
Quit talking to us, and she had a little stuffed animal. She'd squeeze it and it would beep or honk, or I don't know what you call that. It was squeak.
Yeah.
It was a squeaky toy, stuffed animal.
Yep.
And she just kept talking to us and squeaking her squeaky toy. And I've learned at the bookstore, when people come in and they're just obnoxious, I start talking about Christ.
Right.
And usually they don't want to talk about Jesus. And I just keep taking the conversation back to Jesus. I asked her about Jesus, and she said, oh, he's my Savior. I said, really? Tell me about that. And she said, I wrote my own Bible. And I said, you wrote your own Bible? Yeah, I've got my own translation. She told me more far-fetched things. I've never heard so many wild, outlandish, crazy things she said. And it was just cracking me up. And I was like, well, this ain't going to work. I thought we'd talk about Christ, and she'd say, I don't want to talk about him. Instead, she's talking about writing her own Bible.
Her own revelation.
Yeah. Yeah. And, but anyways, your church is already pretty heavily involved in some evangelistic opportunities with the Gospel Rescue Mission, nursing home. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about what the Lord has the church already doing, that we're able to come in and just carry on the mantle. Every second and fourth Wednesday morning, we go down to the Roseville Commons. It's a retirement center. We've got 2 of our members that live there. We have a Bible study, and sometimes it may just be us and them. Other times we'll have 4 or 5 other visitors come in.
Right.
And opportunity to share the gospel, study the Bible, pray with them. Man, you know, people when they get older, they just love to see anybody.
Yeah.
Just somebody come in and talk to them, ask them how their day's been. So there's that. And then every fourth Thursday of the month, our church goes down to the Union Gospel Mission. It's down in downtown Sacramento. It's actually right across from the police department. And it's a mission that's been in operation for probably 50, 60 years. It's been around a long time. Wow. And the church here has supported that mission. And then we also go down and preach. They have preaching every night of the week. And so 5 days a week they got preaching. And if you're going to come in for the night, you have to stay for the preaching. And then they feed you a meal, and then they give you a cot. They also have a program there where they let men work through the program. And if they're committed to getting clean and getting free from addiction and getting on their feet, help them find a job, hold them accountable.
Right.
So it's a good program. But they let our church come down there and preach. And, man, it's been a blessing. It's an outlet to go down and preach the gospel. Where I'm preaching whenever I'm down there, probably to 70, 80 men.
Really?
And a few women that they let come in off the street just for the service.
Right.
And so it's been a blessing. And, of course, obviously I'm just preaching the gospel to them.
Right.
But I'm not just screaming and yelling at them. I'm just developing the gospel like I would here as I exposit a text or preach whatever text the Lord's put on my heart. And man, it's been amazing to see some of them guys respond. And so something that's kind of neat, if it's okay to include this, we had the head chaplain come by a couple months ago, and he was doing kind of a deal where they listen to you preach and they take some notes, and I guess they're just observing you. And,
they came by your church?
No, here, not here. No, that down at the service at the.
Oh, okay. They came at the service
the head
where you're
chaplain,
preaching.
yeah, because he kind of sets everything up, but he's not always in there. He's busy. He's got administrative stuff. So this is the first time I've ever met him. The guy's big. He looks like an NFL football player. I mean, he's
big
just
dude.
Big dude. He walks in and gets my name, my email address, my phone number, and he's like, "I'll be evaluating you." And so I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, and he leaves the room, and I look at one of my deacons and a song leader that's there, and I'm like, well, they may not have us back after tonight. And they're like, I was like, have they ever done this to y'all before? And they're like, I don't think so. So anyway, we preach, and I see him while I'm preaching. He gets up and he walks over to our song leader sitting behind me, and he's there for a little bit, and then he's gone. And so I get done, and we leave, and I'm like, oh, man, I wonder what he said to Mike. The deacon's like, yeah, I was wondering the same thing. So I called Mike up on our way back home, and I'm like, well, did he tell us not to ever come back again? And he's like, no, the opposite. He said, man, he hadn't heard the gospel preached like that since he's been here. So he's been the head chaplain for a year. That's the first time he had evaluated us.
Yeah.
But evidently he does all these evaluations, and all these other churches coming in every night of the month. I guess they're just getting up and they're giving their little feel-good talk. So whatever it is,
makes you wonder, don't it,
brother? And so he was excited about it. Well, then got an email from him. He wants me to come preach a separate service on a Friday morning to the workers, all of the staff, and the men that are in the program. So not just random people off the street wanting a place to sleep for the night, but people in the program.
Right.
And so that's an opportunity coming up here in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be able to go preach. That'll be in the morning. And then he said afterwards the directors want to sit down and talk to me. So who knows? I don't know what all is, maybe nothing, but maybe they just want to get to know me. But there may be an open door and opportunity there too. So, I mean, and the church is a part of that. And, you know, we have a unique time slot. We're down there on Thanksgiving Day. Now, some people would probably think, oh, that would stink. But, man, people are at their worst while most of everybody else is enjoying the blessings of life. And, man, you get to share Christ with them. And sometimes you get to be down there at Christmas time. And, you know, so get to tell them about the Savior of the world. And it's an amazing opportunity. So, yeah, the church is actively involved. We'll have a revival meeting every spring. We'll have that coming up in April, and praying about who we're going to have in for that. Every June we have a big vacation Bible school. They go all out, decorate the interior. I mean, it's nice. We had a great time this past year. We used the Answers in Genesis curriculum, and it's really good. And we do our youth camp in July, and it's well attended. Had one saved there. Had Lord move there. Man, it's just a blessing. And so just kind of carrying on. Then, of course, our Bible conference, they always have it. And this time we had some different guys out. And that's what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to bring in some fresh blood, I guess, some new life. I mean,
somebody different than the same old, same old.
Well, the thing is, the church has been here since 1917. About all the people they know dead and gone.
Yeah.
And they're so separated and far removed from other churches, and they used to be a part of a big association, but because of some heresy that crept in, they had to remove themselves from that fellowship. So, and I understand why. I think that was the right thing to do, but then you end up being just maybe 2 or 3 other churches you fellowship with.
Right.
And so I'm wanting to try to find other churches we can fellowship with, other pastors, but then also introduce them to new guys. And I've done that since I've been here, and thankfully they've gone along with it, brother. I've not had any backlash, but I mean, I'd only been here a couple of weeks and kind of had to do it because of a situation, but had Brother Austin Fulton come down from up in the Northwest, and they were all like, who's this guy? You know, like, we never heard of him, so he can't be a solid guy.
Right.
And he gets here and he preaches, and man, they love him. And people come up to him, they're like, you got to come to youth camp. Because that's one reason I had him come down, is we were going to have him come to youth camp. And in California, there's some background check stuff that you have to go through if you're working with youth. And so that was another thing we were doing with him while he was here. And so, but it was just amazing because, you know, first standoff, but then, oh man, this is one of our kind of people. He preaches the gospel. He loves Jesus. And then I had Brandon Harrell come out about 4 weeks ago. Same thing. Who's this guy? Yeah. And I'm like, look, I grew up with him. I know him. I wouldn't have him out if he was, you know, a jackleg. And man, they loved him. They loved him. Man, and he had got him up there preaching. And then I had him share his ministry. And bro, they were eating it up, asking questions. And then of course, with all the work they do with Bible translation, they're asking about King James Bible questions. And, you know, a lot of what they've heard is your King James onlyism and just that too far position.
Yeah.
And so they're asking Brandon things, and he's like, hey, giving these really balanced, educated answers. Yeah. And like, we're running out of time. Like, we're fixing to start Sunday night service. I'm like, okay, we're going to have to wrap this up. And they're like, oh no, we want to keep. And I'm like, well, how about this? We'll just have Brandon come back and preach sometime. They're like, yeah. I mean, they loved him. And in this conference, they loved you, bro. They want you to come back. And they loved, a
couple of other preachers.
A couple of other guys
got my number and said, hey, we'd like might have you come back out here sometime. So
just introducing them to some, and I think too, in their mind, they thought all the young guys were gone. I think when they found me,
what most
they
people
thought
think.
that I was just this rare. Yeah. And I'm like, guys, there's a lot out there like me that. Yeah. And so I think they're really encouraged by that. And I think it's just going to serve to help the church as we move forward.
Yeah, I do too. So, I think it's done well. And I think your church, like I said, it's a good church, man. When a deacon is willing to go hook his bass boat up after sitting in a Bible conference from 9 o'clock Sunday morning till 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then go hook his boat up, meet you at the ramp, and take you fishing till dark. Yeah, just because he wants to do something nice for you. I mean, that's a blessing.
Yes, sir.
And he didn't have to do that. And I felt bad. I said, man, I understand. He goes, oh no, I want to take you fishing. Yeah. He said, I'm loving this. So,
and he does. He's not just saying that.
I know
he really does.
But you just don't find churches like that everywhere. Right. Yes, full of nice people that love the Lord, love each other, work hard, are evangelistic. And that's what's so encouraging to me is y'all were already doing these. Yeah. You know, before you came, this was not something you had to initiate.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
No, not a lot broke that you got to fix. Just kind of step in and and make sure we keep the main thing, and the focus on Christ, and continue to move forward and grow. So,
well, anything we need to talk about before we wrap up?
I don't know.
You and I have been talking
We've talked a lot here.
I got here Friday. Today's Wednesday.
Yeah, almost a week.
It's September.
And my kids don't want you to go home.
No.
You've been a punching bag for them, and
it's September 17th. This probably won't come out till November.
You've aggravated them about their boyfriends that they don't have, and we've enjoyed it.
Yep, I have too. Thanks for having me out. And this is going to conclude the Backwoods Baptist American Tour.
Well, I'm glad you were able to make it to our neck of the woods.
I wouldn't have missed it, man.
Amen.
I got 3 days to get home, and 2.5 days to get home, and I need to get there. Till next time, we'll see you somewhere in the backwoods.